Hey, welcome back to Wild Mind, Rooted Heart. I'm Christine, and this is a space for the overthinkers, the deep feelers, and the people trying to understand themselves without completely exhausting their nervous systems. And if you're someone who's been enjoying these conversations, you can follow the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. I'm building a space here for people who think and feel deeply, and you are always welcome in it. Now, let's talk about the weird parts of being human. Today, we're talking about something that can feel really disorienting when it happens. Outgrowing the version of yourself people are used to. Have you ever felt like the version of you that everyone knows isn't actually who you are anymore? Like internally, you've changed. Your thoughts are different, your reactions are different, what you tolerate is different. But the world around you is still interacting with the old version of you. I remember hitting a point where I started noticing this in really subtle ways. Conversations that used to feel normal started feeling draining. Things I used to laugh off didn't feel funny anymore. And situations I used to tolerate started feeling misaligned. And it wasn't loud or dramatic, it was quiet. Like something in me had shifted, but I couldn't fully explain it yet. And at the same time, people around me were still expecting the same version of me they had always known. The one who reacted a certain way, the one who showed up in a certain way. And that created this really strange feeling. Like I was standing between two versions of myself. Growth doesn't always look like a big transformation. A lot of the time, it's subtle, layered, internal. And because of that, other people don't always update their perception of you at the same pace that you're changing. So now you're navigating life as a new version of yourself while being seen through an old lens. And that can feel confusing because you might start questioning yourself. Am I different or am I just overthinking this? Why does this feel off now? Why don't I relate in the same way anymore? Healing sometimes feels like moving into a new house. While everyone keeps sending mail to your old address, and you're like, I don't live there anymore. But I'm not fully settled here yet either. And that in between is a very complex place to be. Depending on how deep you are in your journey or how deep you feel you need to go, everybody has different levels. And as someone who has I have sat with the darkest parts of myself. I have confronted those, if you want to call it shadow work, if you want to just say healing, however you want to word it. I have sat with those parts of myself. As scary as it felt, as overwhelming as it felt, as hard and impossible as it felt to get out of, I wouldn't change anything. And the thing about then reemerging into the world as this person of you who has probably shed a lot of those projected things or just old layers of yourself. If you learn to let go, it is hard for other people to see that or to understand it, especially people who haven't been through their own journey. People who haven't had the courage to sit with themselves, to be very honest and blunt about maybe some things, ways you behaved that you're not proud of. But here's the thing, you can't let yourself, or you shouldn't. I'm not a should've, I don't love shoulding, but just keeping yourself held down in that way or beat down doesn't benefit you. You're letting whoever or whatever continue to have control and continue to fuel your life, and you're kind of not running it. Not that we're really in control anyway, because there's divine things happening and shifting all around us at all times. but you can definitely work with it. So going back into the world as this version of you that you may not even know who it is yet. You could still be building it. I am. I'm years into this. And I'm still like now, because I did so much internal work that it's shifted how I see the world and also how I see myself. For a simple example, I was someone who grew up, I have naturally curly hair. It is straight today. If you are watching this, it is straight today because I like to do that once in a while still in 2020. I think that was a big starting point for a lot of people. I had felt it before, like 2 years before, but I was not ready. And then 2 years after, the universe was like, ready or not, here I come. So, ready or not, I hopped on the train, ready to fly off every second, but I hopped on it. And so, for a simple example, I grew up hating my hair. Grew up hating curly hair. Part of me, like, I loved something about it. I loved what I feel like it represents for me as like feeling like embodying the wild woman that we have inside of us. But I straightened my hair for years. Also, because I liked being able to have control over it. Curly hair, if you know, you know. You can't really control it. You gotta learn. And this is so funny because I started with that. I was like, all right, if I can't control how my curls are gonna look. You can do things to help it, but at the end of the day, like they're gonna do what they're gonna do. And you have to just embrace it and roll with it and be like, I don't need to look perfect and refined all the time. It's okay for me to look a little unruly and natural, basically. So I started wearing my hair curly. And now I prefer my hair to be curly versus straight. But I also grew up with people being like, oh, I like your hair better straight, or I like you better blonde. So I've been going back and forth about highlighting my hair, which may not feel like a big deal to most people, right? It's like, just do it or don't. But for me, I had to learn this is my natural hair color. Again, if you're watching. But I have my natural hair color in on my hair and I hated it my whole life too. Um it's just so interesting how things can shift. And the more that you learn to love yourself, the more you're like, cares? Why am I staring at my hair, you know? But so I'm going to do highlights because I like it. I like how the curls look with it. I like to do little braids in my hair and that just makes it it's I'm basically learning for myself that it's okay for me to feel good about myself outwardly. I don't have to hide anymore. I don't need to like all the time. I'm allowed to embrace this feeling of love. You know, I've always just given it freely, but it was so forbidden growing up. Like it was shunned. If you felt good about yourself, you were immediately like knocked down in one way or another. And so as I've done the internal work and now I'm a few years later learning to do this externally. I'm like, what do I want to look like? How do I want to present myself in this world? I know that I like comfortable clothes. I know that I like things that are flowy on me. I don't love constriction. I don't love like things that feel it. You know, I want to be comfortable. As a sensitive person, especially in different environments, it makes sense for me. And I'm becoming okay with that because it's also as I've gone down this, I've always been called like felt like a flower child and a hippie and just having that mentality and being judged for that. I've had to also remove that layer because there's nothing wrong with it. And if people want to live in a judgmental place and categorize people as a certain thing, I've been called worse things, right? And that's not even a bad thing to be called a reference to. So I'm just learning to find my own way. But the internal work is wild because it's almost like when you start working out and you may not see the changes in your body yet or how you feel or how your presence even is different, but other people will start to see it when you start to go back into the world or you start to see people that you haven't seen in a little while. And it can feel really uncomfortable, but you know my phrase, my favorite phrase of life is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're going on a healing journey, if you're going on a journey, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It'll help you. Just breathe through it. Tell people that too. My tattoo, just breathe. Just breathe through it all. and this will pass. The uncomfortableness will pass. It will get less, it will get better, it'll get easier. You just got to keep going. And again, it's a work in progress. You're looking for a feeling internally that, like, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I want to be. From a human design standpoint, me as someone who has plenty of open centers, it's always shifting kind of depending on who I'm around and what I'm around. But I would like to, and I believe that it's possible for my type specifically, or other people with very open centers, to have a baseline, a foundation of who you are, what you're like, you're just your basics and your foundation and yourself. Going into the world and being around people that are used to you behaving a certain way, acting a certain way, responding a certain way. And then you begin to do it differently. And then the longer that you're doing that and the more that you go around these people and are shifting yourself, and just knowing your worth, and again, things that you used to like laugh off or be like, ha 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 ha, and roll your eyes. I just am like, it's not funny. And I personally just don't care to engage with a lot of type of behaviors. And there's some things I just won't tolerate anymore. And it's okay to be in the in between. The in between's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. The in betweens are hard. And then you'll go back and be like, yes, everything feels right. And then bam, you're going to get another layer of, you ready? You ready to level up again? Are you ready? Ready or not, here I come. It comes. And you continue to go back into the world with this clearer way of being, more embodied in what it is that you're wanting to call in. And you'll notice some people will be perceptive, some people will be resistant, some people, you're going to just notice how people respond differently. And I just want to remind you that respectfully, it is not your responsibility to make everyone else around you comfortable at the cost and sacrifice of yourself. Because then what is it really doing for you? It's harming you more than helping you if you're in environments that are making you have to stay in that way in order to survive. Like, no, thank you. Just trust that you're doing what you're meant to do and what feels right and what feels good. Find what feels good and go after that. I know sometimes there's a big feeling of lack or scarcity. I've felt that in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, if I let go of this, then what's going to be there? I've had plenty of points in my life of in betweens where I've had no one to hang out with, no friends, no one to do anything with, because I'm shifting, I'm elevating, I'm definitely different in a lot of ways. But I know now that it's not that there's something wrong with me. It's that I'm here on a mission to do exactly what I'm doing. I went through all of what I went through, as hard and heavy and deep as stuff was, for a reason, to learn lessons and then share them with other people and hopefully break it down simply enough for the right people to find and to hear and to hopefully help someone. This in between phase is actually really important. It's where you're shedding old patterns before stepping fully into new ones. And it can feel uncomfortable because you don't fully relate to your past self anymore, but you're still figuring out who you're becoming. So there's this temporary space where things feel unclear, disconnected, and sometimes even lonely. But that doesn't mean you're lost. It usually means you're in the middle of becoming. And how exciting is that? Because if you got right to where you're going, what is there to look forward to? Learn to appreciate each stage as they come for all that it is. And know that nothing is forever, good or bad. There's just, you're going to have hard days. You're going to have good days. You're going to have days where you're like, you feel so yourself, and then you're gonna have days sometimes where you like may slip into your old identity, and that's okay. The oh, the awareness is important and it is necessary, but it's also like what you do with it. You can use it to harp yourself, or you can use it to say, ooh, okay. I recognize that I was set back a little bit. Let me take a pause, do what you need to do for you because we are all different. How do you recenter yourself? How do you reconnect to yourself? Do that and then keep it going, right? Because that other part of you is still there and it's still a part of you, but it's not the core of who you are anymore as you're shifting and in this in between. You're redefining what that is and what that looks like. So here is something to sit with. What parts of your old identity no longer feel aligned? Where are you still showing up out of habit instead of alignment? And what would it feel like to give yourself permission to grow into something new, even if it's not fully defined yet? As always, thank you for spending this little pocket of time with me. Take what resonated today and let it settle. Let what landed sink in, and anything that didn't quite fit can rest nearby for now. Sometimes clarity doesn't come all at once. It builds quietly as you keep showing up as yourself. And don't forget, if you're enjoying these conversations, follow or subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. And until next time, take care of your mind and stay rooted in your heart.